This is why you always wait till you have the figure in hand before you make your final opinion. Hello everybody, DK Guillotine here. And it is time. Legacy Blitzwing is here. A very talked about figure in the community for good reasons, for bad reasons, for all of the reasons in between. He is here. He is finally here. It took me a while to get because I had to wait for my Amazon pre-order because I could not find him anywhere else despite the fact that like everybody has already reviewed this thing. But it's okay. I got him now. Okay, before we get into this, I'm going to say this right up front. I am going to tear into this figure in this review, but I love it. I love this figure. I really, really like him. I have a ton of good things to say about him. However, I am going to tear into a few things about this figure. So the whole time I'm tearing into a few things about this figure, just remember that I love him. I really, really like this thing. But let's get into it. Starting off, of course, with the tank mode because it is the mode he is packed in. So here is the tank mode. It is gorgeous. I love the tank mode. You have the turret up there with the nice turret right there. The turret with the turret. The nice Decepticon logo right there. Absolutely gorgeous. You have this beautiful sculpting picked out all along here. You have the treads right there. The wheels. This thing rolls very, very well. I actually dig the jet boosters in the back. Those are very, very, very cool. Unfortunately, you can't put any blast effects in there unless you were to like open them. Yeah, I guess, okay, so you could actually open them like this, and then you have access to some ports back there, so you could put blast effects in there if you wanted to, although a jet-powered tank wouldn't make much sense, but then again, I mean, even without the, it's still kind of a jet-powered tank, isn't it? But yeah, very cool. Moving up to the front, I dig these little silver pieces right there. You can see that. There is a bit of a hollow space right there, but overall, I think the tank mode looks pretty good, other than one tiny little issue I have with it. There's a fucking jet nose cone jutting out of the front of the tank. Look, I hate this, okay? I hate this decision that they made for this jet nose cone. It looks like garbage. It looks like absolute garbage. Because if you take your fingers, you cover this freaking thing up, and you look at the tank like that, it looks about 50 bajillion times better. Now, let's talk about this freaking jet nose cone, because the reason Hasbro made this ridiculous decision to put a freaking jet nose cone jutting out of the front of the tank is for G1 cartoon accuracy. I know everybody is out there is probably going to be calling me a hypocrite right now, because I'm always a big fan of when they do the G1 accuracy. I love how they've done Motor Master. I think Motor Master is awesome. I love the way all of these figures came out. I love the way all my Studio Series figures came out. I love accuracy to the original source material of it. However, counter argument. This is not accurate at all whatsoever to the G1 cartoon. Look at the G1 cartoon model and tell me that this is accurate to it. First of all, the tank is just completely wrong. This is not the kind of tank that Blitzwing turned into in the G1 cartoon. Second of all, this panel right here is supposed to be tan. There's not supposed to be a big purple slab right there. I would not have made a big deal out of it if it wasn't for the fucking jet nose cone sticking out of the front, because this is not accurate whatsoever. There is a very small protrusion of a jet nose cone peeking out from underneath a teeny tiny little slab in the tank. You have the slab that goes pretty much all the way up to the front here. This slab goes all the way to the front, and then you have a very itty bitty, like an inch of a jet nose cone sticking out of it. It does not look like this whatsoever. This is not what the freaking G1 alt mode looked like. And I don't care if it looks like the G1 alt mode. I care if it looks good. This does not look good. You either needed to not get rid of this, you either needed to get rid of this entirely, or you needed to make it to where you could hide this. You could fan mode it and get rid of this entirely. Now, you can actually do that, which brings me to my next point. Well, you can't 100% do it, but this brings me to my next point. I am just going to freaking say it. If you mistransform this thing and you just leave the head out, it legitimately looks infinitely better if you just leave the head out. That's his freaking robot head hanging out of the front of the tank, and this looks better. Tell me it doesn't. Tell me in the comments that this does not look better than the jet nose cone hanging out of the front. This is infinitely better. I mean, once again, if you just put your finger right there, the tank looks fantastic. If it wasn't for that jet nose cone, the tank would be a 10 out of 10. It's awesome. I dig the jet boosters in the back. It reminds me of Astro Train with his shuttle boosters in the back of the train mode. That's what I think of when I think of this. That jet nose cone, though, that ain't it, Chief. I am not a fan of that. And that's the first thing I'm going to rip into with this figure. Now, I can kind of overlook the fact that he does have this jet nose cone. By the way, you just gotta transform him like this. You do want to flip the head around though, so it's not peeking up at you, but we'll talk about that more in the transformation segment. Talking a little bit more about the tank mode, you do have some great articulation in here. You do have upwards and downwards depressed. You do have turret swivel right there, and you can even like bring this out on its transformation joint and have some fun with that as well if you want to. So yeah, pretty darn cool right there. Now let's talk about the accessories with the figure. So first up, you get two of the exact same gun, which Blitzwing only had one of these guns in the original G1, but it's okay. They give you two, so whatever. But very cool little guns right here. You can see these are, once again, just the exact same thing. And they look pretty cool. They're just very basic purple Decepticon looking guns. And if you want to, you can store these on the side of the tank. And it doesn't look too bad, honestly, compared to a lot of other weapon storage, because these guns are really flat, so they don't really draw a ton of attention to them. So they actually look kind of decent on the side of the tank like that. Like, I don't think that looks bad at all. But then you get to the sword. Now, you can store the sword up top, which looks absolutely awful. Although, let's talk about the sword real quick before I just, the storage. No, the storage itself, I don't love the sword because of this. This is just, I don't like this. And I know the defense that people, like, in case you can't tell I'm getting at here, this is made of rubber, like this rubbery plastic right here. This is a super bendable and flexible sword. And I know the argument that people are getting this is, oh, it's technically a kid's toy, so it has to be like this. Bro, I'm sorry, but I call bullshit. These are not kids' toys anymore, dude. Like, what kid wants a figure of these characters from an old 90s show that they probably never seen a single episode for? Hasbro knows that they are making these for adult collectors, and I don't really dig that personally. I'm not a big fan of that. However, it's not the biggest deal in the world, although I will say, like, obviously this is a Voyager at leader class price point, because that's what we're doing now, and I don't usually have an issue with that, but I am going to get into that a little bit more later in the video. But this is one thing, like, why did we make this sacrifice, this cutting measure, when it was a freaking Voyager at leader class price point? And even if you do go with the argument that it's a kid's toy, like, there's gotta be a ton of other options. Like, how about Megatron swords? Megatron's sword wasn't all rubbery, he came with a sword. Let's see here, who else here? Oh, right there, Motormaster, this sword right here, that ain't rubbery whatsoever. That's a big freaking plastic sword. But this one on the Voyager at a leader class price point gets cut down. Okay, but anyway, not a huge deal, by the way. I just wanted to point it out. But you know, Blitzwing's sword is kind of his iconic weapon, so the fact they kind of cheaped out on this, although I do like the silver paint, definitely. But you can plug this onto the top. You can plug this onto the top of the tank right there if you want storage. That looks awful. So what I came up with, similar to what I do with my Studio Series Jazz in his alt mode, I like to flip one of the jet boosters back there, and I like to plug the sword in right there. It doesn't look a ton better, but in my opinion, it does look a little bit better to store the sword back there. Now, me personally, I always just leave the weapons off to the side when I'm in alt mode, unless they have dedicated weapon storage like the glorious Studio Series Galvatron figure. But aside from that, like, I really don't mind just leaving the weapons off, because I always transform them back into their robot mode before they go back up on the shelf, like 90% of the time. But those are the main accessories. Now let's talk about these. The Hulk hands. Oh my god. I don't think I've ever seen a more ripped into accessory. Like, people fucking loathe these things. And I'll be honest, I don't love them either. I certainly wish we could have just thrown these out the door, maybe cut a few more things and made this a Voyager and not a leader, because these things suck. I'm gonna, like, to put it in perspective how little Hasbro gave a shit about these, in the package, I kid you not, these are in a little cardboard sleeve, and then this piece is lifted up so they don't move. There's not even any piece, like, holding them in there whatsoever. It's literally just slid into the sleeve, and then that piece bent forward so it doesn't move. You know Hasbro did not give a shit about these. You know Hasbro knows everybody else does not give a shit about these. However, this is a review, so I have to show you how these work. So in the tank mode, what you want to do with these is you want to pop these pieces out, and then you have a peg right there that's going to go into a peg hole right there. And that's a problem I'm going to get into a little bit later, but you want to do that with both of these things right here. We'll talk about the hands once we get to the robot mode. And then you want to bring them in, and then you want to attach, you have these little slots right there in that are going to tab into right here. You'll be able to see them once you get the figure in hand. They're pretty damn obvious. So you want to get that one in there, and then you want to get that in there. And this gives you some, like, missile pods on this. Now, I'll be honest, I kind of liked the way these looked when I was looking at them on the reviews, but when you get them in hand, it's not exactly Da Vinci's finest. I'm not really feeling it. Maybe if there was more, maybe if it was 2 full racks of missiles and not just the top ones, because like that, it doesn't really look all that intimidating in my opinion, and they don't really hold on all that well. You can see right there. It's definitely clearly an afterthought. This entire weapon is a complete afterthought, but they do have dedicated places to put these things in the modes. Like right here, they have these little slots cut out to where these actually tab in place, but I don't know. That's a thing you can do. I have to show it because this is a review and that's, you know, my job. So yeah, I did have to show it, but this is probably my least favorite function of these, although I don't really care for any of them other than kind of sort of one, and I kind of struggled to say I actually care for it, but we'll talk about that when we get to it in the video. But yeah, there you go. That's what you do with these if you want to, or what you can do with what 90% of people will probably do is either throw them in their accessory drawer or throw them in the trash. We'll see what happens, but that is gonna wrap it up for the tank mode. Let's show off some comparisons. And for comparison, first off, I just pulled my storage bin out and pulled out a bunch of tanks that don't have jet nose cones sticking out of the front. So there is the Dark of the Moon Shockwave, the Hardhead. This is Cyberverse Deluxe Class Megatron. This is the tank portion of, what's his name, Flywheels. And this is the Revenge of the Fallen Studio Series of Megatron. Just a bunch of tanks that don't have a freaking jet nose cone sticking out of the front. Although this guy does have a head sticking out of the front as well. But that's accurate. That actually is how he looks in the movie. So, With that being said, here is a deluxe Decepticon right there. That's Runabout or Run. Is that Runabout or Runamuck? It's Runabout. Runamuck is the white one. And then here is the Quintesson drone guy, because I don't know. I thought that'd be a decent comparison as well. Don't really know what else to compare this guy with. Here's one more just for a generic comparison. Here's the Earthrise Datsun mold. But yeah, there you have it. It's a pretty good sized figure. I mean, you can see like compared to a car here, he's about the width of about 2 of these. So yeah, I don't know. I personally do like the size of him. So yeah, pretty cool. And now we're going to transform him into a second alt mode because, of course, Blitzwing has 2 alt modes. The jet mode is what we will be transforming him into next. I remember when I was a kid, I always loved Blitzwing so much because I love the fact that he turned into a tank and a jet. And I remember I always used to tell my parents, like, Blitzwing should be the actual leader of the Decepticons because he turns into a tank and a jet. Keep in mind, I didn't grow up with the G1 cartoon. I grew up with, like, Armada. So for, like, Armada and a few others, the Bayverse movies, I didn't watch G1 until very, very much later on, after I watched like Prime and Animated and all that. So for me, Megatron was mainly a tank or a jet. So I always thought that like Blitzwing was way cooler because he was a tank and a jet. I don't know. I just thought I'd throw that little history lesson in there for you. But that is gonna do for that. Once again, I already showed the comparisons. It's time to transform him into his jet mode, and I definitely have a hot take when it comes to the jet mode. So here we go. So like I said, we're going to jet mode. So let's get to it. So first thing you want to do is you want to flip them over, and you want to fold these pieces up, and then you want to take these panels right here. These are going to open, and they're going to swing down, and you just want to tap them in place right there on both sides, just like that. Now, you have these little hook tabs right here that these arms peg into right there, and you want to undo that, and then you also want to undo it from there. You want to bring it up, and then you have a double hinge right here, and you want to double hinge this in, and then tab that little tab into place right there. And then you want to do the same thing on this side. You can also fold that wing in like that. So you want to do the same thing on this side. So you want to get that untap from the hook piece, bring that up, get the turret up, and you want to double hinge that in, and tap in place right there. Fold it into the wing, and then you want to take this little door here, open this up, fold the turret down just like that, bring that down, rotate it around, and tap it in place just like that. Now, you want to untab this piece from back here, and obviously untab that panel right there. So you want to bring all of that down, and you want to get working on this. So you want to untap the feet, the legs here, and you want to fold out these wings right here, and these are just going to fold out, and you also have to fold out this piece right there because it has to go out first, and then you want to bring these out and just fold out just like that, and then you want to do the same on the other side, so just fold them all the way out, fold that piece out just like that, and then you want to tab the legs back together just like that, and now you have to untab these pieces right here, these arm pieces, these are going to untab from there, swivel them down, and then you have to tab them in right there. And I have to say, this is a very minor complaint, but the way that these do not feel satisfying whatsoever to tab these in. It just does not feel good to tab those in, but whatever, minor little things. So just do that, untap that, fold it down, tab that in right there, so you have that going on, and then you want to take the entire tank piece right here, bring this down, and then you have a slot right there that's going to go into that slot right there, and then same thing right here, you have a tab right there that's going to go into a tab right there, tab a slot right there, and then you want to do the same thing on this side. So get that piece once again tabbed right there, and that tabbed into right there, and then you want to fold that piece forward, that's going to tab in right there, and then you want to open up the front, and you want to flip out this nose cone, and then lastly, you just want to take these panels right here on the top of the jet, and you just want to fold them down, and lastly, you just want to make sure all this is nice and squozen so you don't see any of the silver legs bits peeking out there. And there you have the jet mode, and take it away, me. And here we have the jet mode. Now, pretty much everybody is calling this mode Blitzwing's worst mode, this toy's worst mode. So, and this is basically the exact opposite of the way that these looked in tank mode. If you remember, when I talked to you in tank mode, I said I thought these looked kind of cool on the reviews, and then I got it in hand and I didn't really like it anymore. This is the exact opposite, because I hated the way this thing looked until I got it in hand, and I love this jet mode. This jet mode is kind of awesome in my opinion. Like, I actually really like this. Like, the first time I got it transformed, I was shocked by how much I liked the jet mode. Now, addressing it, yes, there's an entire folded up tank on the bottom of the jet that, it is kind of annoying, but honestly, I don't even notice it that much. Like, in the reviews and whatnot, it definitely looked really, really bad because it was just sitting there, and then it looked like it was just like this massive, like, dump truck, like Elastigirl dump truck ass on the back of the jet. But honestly, when you have it in hand, when you hold it, it's actually kind of just a really convenient place to put your hand so you can whoosh it around if you want to. And then the tank turret on the bottom, I think this is actually kind of cool because in this configuration, I don't like it very much, but what you can do is you can bring it up on this hinge and you can bring it forward, and this is how I like to keep the jet mode, because for me, this just gives him like a little undermounted cannon, so you can put your hands right here on these two little pieces, and then you can whoosh him around, and you have it with a little cannon right there. And also, I have to point this out as well. He has a the door right here that you put the tank turret into. You can open this up, and it kind of looks like a carpet bomber plane, and that makes me think of the first opening of Attack on Titan, the final season. I don't know. It's just kind of. I just think that's kind of cool. Like, you can have this open up, and it could be like a carpet bomber, so it just like flies over and drops. Is there even any jet carpet bombers in that opening? I don't think so. I just thought of war and explosions, so that's what popped into my head. The mind of a weeb. I don't know what to tell you, man. But yeah, very, very, very cool. I love the way that looks. Honestly, it's really cool. It's just a little undermounted tank right there, like a drop ship in Halo or something. I say that like it's the only ship that has an undermounted gun. But getting a little bit more into it before we just move on and start going off the rails like I pretty much already did. So I apologize. But getting up to the front here, you have a nice translucent red at the nose cone right there. I like the silver nose cone right there. I will say the first time I transformed this thing out of packaging, I hated having to get this cockpit out. It was a pain in the ass, but now after you've done it a few times, it actually just comes right out. So no big deal right there. I was gonna complain about that, but no, it works itself out. It's actually completely fine right now. It's honestly like the perfect amount of tightness that I would want it to be. So no issues right there. I dig the yellow right there. You have the nice silver right there. It's worth noting, I actually think this is really cool, that it pretty much hides the legs completely. Like, those are the legs right there, and these are gonna hinge down for the robot mode, but you can't even really tell. Like, those are the hip panels right there, and then that seals it all together, which I actually think is pretty cool. And then these little pieces right here are also very nice. These just kind of fold out from over there and give it a nice shape. I really do like this jet mode. This is my favorite of the alt modes and my second favorite mode of the figure, man. It's really, really cool. I also dig the way the legs work. How you have these freaking god damn it. How do I say this? These back fins right there, they go out along with the wings, because they kind of, the way they're positioned, they kind of fold over the wings, so when you bring the wings out, these pieces also kind of go up with it, and it's kind of cool in my opinion. So they have that. Now, features with this jet mode, aside from the ones I told you about, like the freaking carpet bomber, I'm just kidding. You can fold this back, and if you do this, because this is the actual proper way you're supposed to have the jet mode, the tank turret, you actually do have a landing gear down here. You can flip this out. Now, this has got to be the world's most useless landing gear ever, because it doesn't even really reach the ground. You can see the tank turret does kind of sit lower than the landing gear. So yeah, this is like the world's most useless landing gear. Honestly, it kind of is. You can kind of bring it down a little bit, and then it helps a little bit. But honestly, what I recommend doing is just transforming it the way I do it, where you have this turret pushed forward, and then you can just rest it on that. And that's like the easiest thing in the world. Honestly, you don't even need that, because like this whole tank just rested on it. It's not going anywhere, dude. This is literally the most useless landing gear ever. I wouldn't usually complain about something like this, but like at this point, why'd you even bother, Hasbro? You could have just take that landing gear out, put that plastic into something else, like something I'll definitely be getting on in the robot mode that I hate about this thing. But maybe I came off a little too strong there. It's an issue I have in the robot mode, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. But yeah, that's gonna do it for the tank mode. For the jet mode, I like it. Oh, and I have to show the weapon storage. Okay, the weapon storage is actually pretty cool too. So you can plug the guns in these ports right here. Come on, get in there, motherfucker. There we go. Get that in right there. And same thing on this side. And then you can plug the sword underneath like that, which is going to make resting it on the ground a little bit more difficult, but there's not really another way you could do it. I guess you could just kind of slide it in there if you wanted to. Hey, whatever. If you want to, you can do it, but you could plug the sword down there. This kind of weapon storage, man, is just awful. The guns look decent because they're just underneath the wings, so you can just have them as like undermounted guns, and I don't know if they're blast effect compatible. Let me check real quick. So they're kind of blast effect compatible. They do go on there, but they very, very easily fall off. So yeah, kind of blast effect compatible. I'll give it like a 6 out of 10 for blast effect compatibility. At least they go on there. So as long as you don't move it, it'll be fine. But yeah, there you go. That is it for the jet mode. Oh wait, the whole cans. I almost forgot they were even here. Oh, okay, which is actually funny because this is easily my favorite way to actually utilize the whole cans. And like I said earlier, saying I actually like this is a bit of a stretch, but we're gonna show it off. So what you want to do with these, first off, you have to untab them from the tank configuration, and this is the worst thing ever. So honestly, like I say, just fucking brute force it, just rip it out of there, because you have like this tiny little peg right there that goes into this peg hole right there, and this goes in there and it tabs it, and you can't, like, it's really hard to get it out of there. And honestly, who gives a shit about these? I know they're clear plastic, so they might break, but just fucking brute force it out of there. Who cares? And then you want to just plug this back into the same configuration it is for the hand mode. So you just want to get that, and then you want to plug that in right there. It's worth noting though, they come out a little bit easier than they did the first couple times I did this when I got the figure. And then you want to bring Mr. Blitzwing in here. You want to open up the freaking things right here. You want to open up these bottom pieces of the jet thrusters, and then you want to plug these into them like this. And I see what Hasbro was going with when it comes to this. This is the only way to utilize these hands that I do somewhat think is a mild itty bitty success. Not a big one for sure, definitely not a big one, and I'm sure nobody's actually going to use this at all, myself included, but I kind of see what they were going for here. It fills the jet out, because the jet is kind of small and stubby. This fills the jet out a little bit more. It gives it a new take. It kind of gives it a whole new look, which is something I haven't seen a single other review talk about, a single other reviewer talk about. They never mention how this kind of makes it look like a more fully fledged, like it goes from a jet to like an actual airplane, sort of, kind of. They tried, okay? It's not a good attempt by any means. It doesn't actually look like an airplane, but they tried. I can see what they were going for here. I just don't agree with it. And once again, to reiterate, actually, I don't think I have said this before, I wish they had just taken these out and made it a Voyager class. Like, maybe if they had to cut a little more things out as well, then that as well, but they could have just melted these pieces down and improved this figure and made it okay. Two options. They could have taken these out, made it a Voyager class, maybe cut a few more things down as well, because there is quite a few things about this that do make it a little bit higher quality than an actual Voyager class. But the other thing they could have done is just melted the plastic that they used to make this figure better, to give it better engineering and more tabs that I'm going to talk about in the robot mode. But there you have it. That's how you use the hands in the jet mode. I think it is finally time to get onto the main event, the robot mode. But first, we will get into some comparisons. Alright, and for jet mode, here he is with the Earthrise Seeker mold right there. So you can see the Earthrise Seeker mold is quite a bit bigger, quite a bit longer overall. It is just an inherently bigger jet. And I mean, let's be real here. I know I do like this jet mode, but this looks infinitely better. Like, it just does. And, you know, it's a triple changer. So I think that, like I said, I really like the jet mode. And for a triple changer, I think gets the job done pretty well. Obviously, this looks better because it's dedicated to transforming from this into a robot. So there you have that. And here is also G-Axis, also from the Legacy line. So here you have this jet mode as well, right there. A little hard to get in frame. You can see, once again, G-Axis is a good bit bigger and longer than Blitzwing right there. Although Blitzwing is certainly a bit more girthier. So yeah, there you have that. And lastly, here he is with Studio Series Blitzwing right there. Man, really makes me want them to redo Blitzwing and give him his proper Bumblebee movie alt mode, because that would have been pretty cool. But there you go. There you have your comparisons in the jet mode. Okay, now we can get on to the main event, the transformation into the robot mode, which y'all came to see. So here we go. Let's go. Whee! I'm sorry. I legitimately, I don't think there's actually airplanes in that fucking opening. So even the people who know what I'm talking about watching this video, they're still gonna be like, what the fuck is he talking about? Now to the glorious robot mode. So we want to flip this piece down and fold the nose cone away just like that. We want to come underneath here. We want to untab the tank from the bottom of the jet. So we just want to separate that piece, and then separate all of this down. Untab that piece, bring that whole bit down just like that. And then we want to come up here. We want to fold these pieces back out. So we're going to tab back in place right where they went before, just like that. And we can't do the legs. So you want to fold this piece. You want to double hinge it out, and then it's going to tab in place in two different spots there. So it's going to tap and then tap just like that. Very nice. Then you want to fold these little triangle pieces down like that. Flip them over to the back here, and we want to separate the legs. Then we want to fold the wing in. You have a tab and slot right there. Fold the wing in, tab and slot right there. Fold the wing in, tab and slot right there. Although that one doesn't really tab in, but whatever, not a big deal. It still holds in place just fine. And then you want to split the thruster in half, which is going to give him his feet. Now, the way you have this piece positioned is completely up to you. You can have it forward and then it tabs in place right there, or you can pull it back and it tabs in place back there. I think this looks infinitely better, so this is how I do it. So, but that is up to you. And then you want to do the same thing right here. So you tab a slot right there, tab a slot, tab a slot, and tab a slot, and then fold that down, fold that back, and fold that forward. So there you have the legs. Then you want to open up this torso piece, fold the jet nose cone away, fold out to the head, bring this panel up, and he's just going to put this on like a little jacket that tabs in place right there. Fold that down, fold out these little wings from the back, just like that. Make sure all of that is nice and squozen. You're going to fold that piece out, rotate this piece up, fold that out, and bring that up like that, and close that back up like that. It's going to give him his turret that he has on his back. And then you want to take this piece, open that up, rotate that down, rotate that around, and you want to fold out these hands, swivel that up, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute here, and then we're going to do the same thing on this side. So bring that up, rotate that around just like that, fold out to that hand, and bring that up. And there you have Blitzwing in his absolutely glorious robot mode. Yeah, do I need to say more? Blitzwing's robot mode is like maybe one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life. Like, this is... It's Blitzwing. It's Blitzwing. I don't know if I've ever seen a more, like, one-to-one screen-accurate fucking Transformer ever. Like, even some of the ones that I thought were even, like, so amazing. Like, Cyclonus, almost one-to-one screen accuracy. Scourge, freaking Soundwave, Shockwave, he's a different shade of purple. You know, they all kind of have one thing that maybe is a little bit different. Now, his shade of purple might also be a little darker. But, I mean... Just look at him. Just look at this thing, man. It looks legitimately like a masterpiece figure, like an actual masterpiece figure. It's absolutely insane. Just look at that head sculpt with that silver paint right there, that red visor. Love the yellow, the red, all the paint apps on this thing, absolutely gorgeous. I love these big purple stripes right there, the silver right there, some nice molded detail right there on the legs. So nice. You have the Decepticon logos right there. Nice Decepticon logo on the chest as well. I'm really tired of the fact that Hasbro keeps like omitting the god damn it, I'm sorry, I'm stuttering. What's the logos, the Autobot and Decepticon logos, they keep not putting them on, like on Ultra Magnus. They didn't even put them on him. Like, I don't know why they're doing that, because they're so cool. I love the Autobot and Decepticon logos. I want them to be displayed proudly on them, so they know that they're proud to be on the faction that they are. I love that, man. Absolutely awesome. And just head to toe, I think he looks phenomenal. Also, it's very worth noting, one of the things that definitely makes this guy a leader over a Voyager, he's very high quality plastic. You guys know I'm always on about this freaking plastic quality shit. It was my main issue with G-Axis. This guy feels about like 3 times the weight of G-Axis. Like, oh my god, I just picked him up. It feels like I'm holding paper and a rock right here. Like, this is absolutely insane how much higher quality this is. I almost wish they would have done this to this and made this a leader class. Like, straight up. The issues I have with this figure are not that it's a leader class. The issues I have with it are the stupid ass decisions that they made with it, which we'll get into when I get into my final thoughts. They should have done the same thing with this. I know some people are going to be like, no, DK, stop it. I don't like these Voyagers at leader class price point. But man, these figures, like, I don't know what to tell you. Look at this collection right here. My anime collection right there. This is my Nendoroids, and then on that shelf right there, I have these. These right here, these are Figmas. These things are super tiny and super expensive. That Blitzwing costs $50. You know how much this Rimuru figure costs? $130. And it is about like that small compared to Blitzwing. $130. This thing is the best $130 I have ever spent in my life. This thing feels absolutely incredible. This is the exact thing I would tell you to look at stuff like this before you say that these things are not worth the price. Because when I hold this Blitzwing figure in my hand and I compare it to any Voyager, when I compare it to G-Axis, when I compare it to the Bumblebee movie Soundwave, because I have him over here, this figure feels like about the weight of about 3 of these. So they definitely made up for the Voyager 2 leader class price point. There is merit to this argument that these are leaders and not Voyagers. But now, I'm going to kind of invalidate my argument now, because I have some things I need to say about the robot mode that I don't like. And it's honestly, it's locking tabs. There's some tabs on this that A, needed to be there, or, yeah, they just needed to be there. These freaking arm panels, these are the devil. I freaking hate these things. These do not tab in, they just swivel up there, and then they just hold in there. They could not put a little tab or something just right there that this piece goes up and tabs into, seriously? That's all they need to do. And then the bigger one, that one I hate, but this one, oh my god, I cannot fathom this. And I cannot fathom the fact that I've never seen a single other review of this figure that pointed this out. This back piece, basically the entire tank mode, hanging off of this back, there is no tab. It just freaking floats there. It literally just goes on his back and just floats there. It literally doesn't lock in place. Look, is this a big deal? No, it's not. It's going to be sitting on your shelf. You're not going to care about that. You're going to pick it up. It doesn't feel like it's a big deal. But this is a leader class figure with the Voyager class scaling. And yes, I know I just made out a huge rant about this, but I don't think that should be there in this kind of thing. This is something that needed to be there. There needed to be a freaking piece that tabbed this into there. And it wouldn't have been hard either. There was plenty of things they could have done. They could have just made, like, again, just got rid of that landing gear. You can see the landing gear peeking out from right back there. You can see the landing gear peeking out from right back there. Get rid of that landing gear and instead put a little clip right there that would go down and it would clip into right there. Boom, perfect. It would feel a million times better. The landing gear is useless anyway. I cannot wrap my head around why they did not put a locking tab on this, and I really cannot wrap my head around how I've not seen a single other reviewer point this out. Even reviewers that go on and on about how about terrible figures are, like Perspective End and a few others that just rave and rave about how awful these things are, they still have not pointed this issue out. And is it only on mine? Tell me in the comments. If you have this figure, does your back piece lock in? Because you can clearly see mine, it just doesn't. It doesn't. The turret is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this piece. Now the turret not locking in is also kind of a thing, although it does lock in, just not very well. This thing legitimately just does not have a dedicated tab whatsoever. Like, I cannot fathom why the hell they left that out. I really can't. But that's my little mini rant on the robot mode. Honestly, both of those issues I think are not the worst thing ever. I think I can get over them pretty well, especially since, like, I can't even put it into words how amazing this robot mode is. It feels amazing, it looks amazing. If it just had a tab to lock this piece in and tabs to lock these hands in, this robot mode would be absolutely perfect. It really is incredible. Now, the accessories, you can plug the guns, obviously, just like in G1, he had his gun and his sword right there, so you can give him his gun and his sword right there, which is absolutely awesome. This is actually how I like to keep him. I just throw this other gun in the accessory drawer, but if you don't want to, you have beautiful storage right here on the back where you can just plug this in to this port right here, and you have beautiful weapon storage right there. You can also plug the sword on the back when you're not using it. You can either plug it into the turret right here if you want to, or if you want to, you can use the other peg right there, since you'll probably put the other one in the drawer. It is nice that they included both of them. I do want to say that. So if you do like the idea of him like dual wielding the blasters, you have that option. But for me personally, I just throw the other blaster in my accessory drawer, and I just leave him with these two accessories. So you can store them on the back, or you can put them in his hand, or you can do any variety of what you want to do with there. Now let's talk about the Hulk hands. Oh, these things suck. I don't like these whatsoever in the robot mode. Like I said, the only mode I think these even slightly land in is the jet mode. But getting into this, what you want to do is you want to rotate his hand like this to where you have that, and then you want to just plug this onto the hands, and you have to make sure you get this peg into the hands, and then it will go on pretty damn snugly. That's why you have to rotate this piece this way. It won't go on very well with this because the thumb is sticking out too much and the peg is super short. You have to rotate it this way where it doesn't have anything colliding with it, and then you have to line it up, get it in there, and then tab it in place, and it will stay on pretty well. You can see they stay on pretty well once you do that. When you rotate the hand into that position, and then you plug them onto that. Even if you want to do the other way, like here he is with that, but if you wanted to, you could also rotate them this way. I haven't actually tried this, but you could plug that in like that, and then I'm sure it would also be a lot more secure like this as well. Yeah, so you can do that, and then you can also have that like that. Now, personally, I think it looks a little bit better, and I do mean a little bit better, when you plug it in like this. Come on, get in there. Get in there, motherfucker. Get in there, motherfucker. Okay, there we go. And there you have it. That is the final use for the Hulk hands. Let's be real here. It's not good. It's not good. It doesn't look good at all. And once again, like, this kind of pisses me off, honestly. Like, melt these down and add tabs to the back and the arms. Seriously, this is stupid. Nobody wants these. Nobody likes these. I honestly think that all the people who hated the fact that this is a Voyager and that this is a leader and not a Voyager class, they probably wouldn't have even said anything if you literally just did not have these things and you just made the figure look better. If you maybe added some more engineering to the nose cone in jet mode to where it could fold out if you didn't want it there, or you could leave it out if you do want it there, because some people do want it there. I don't know why, but some people do want it there. And then you could also add the tabs right there. You could add a tab to lock that panel into right there, and you could add a big tab to lock the back piece into the back right there. These are my only real issues with this figure: the jet nose cone sticking out of the front of the tank mode, and the lack of tabs in the robot mode. Aside from that, this thing is pretty freaking awesome. So let's get into the comparisons, and then we'll jump into the final thoughts. Alrighty, now real quick before we get into the comparisons, I do want to talk a little bit about articulation. He has some weird joints at his arms here. You can see they kind of like peg in place here, similar to how they do on Siege Megatron. When you pull him forward, they kind of have to like spring into place, and then he only has a 90-degree bend at the elbow, which is kind of meh on a leader class figure. But on the good part, he does have wrist swivel, which is absolutely phenomenal, waist swivel, and some beautiful ankle pivot as well. And the head sculpt is on a nice ball joint. No ab crunch, but that's no big deal for me. But yeah, articulation is pretty solid in my opinion. I do wish he could get a little bit more in the arms. I always wish that we can get maybe at least double jointed bend at the arms, so you can get him in those sharpshooter poses, but it is what it is. Alright, now for comparison, first off with the Astro Train. And yes, of course, I mean, we look at this. Hasbro, get on Octane. We have got to get an Octane. I've never had an Octane figure. I've always wanted an Octane figure, and this is the time. We have got to get an Octane to go with these absolutely wonderful, wonderful lads. Let me think here. Which of these do I like more? Astro Train's really good. I really like how easy it is to flip between the modes with Astro Train. If you're okay with not flipping the light out in Astro Train's train mode, you can go from train mode to shuttle mode in like 10 seconds. It's absolutely phenomenal. He does not have that satisfaction, unfortunately. But with Astro Train, like he's in the jet mode, and then you just open up the panels in the front, flip the thing around, turn around, flip him over, rotate the wings down, and bring it down. You can literally do it in like 10 seconds. It's awesome. So you can flip between his modes really easily. So I would say he's probably a better figure, but I've always liked Blitzwing as a character way more, and I gotta say I do think he looks infinitely cooler than Astro Train. Like Astro Train's kind of dweeby looking compared to Blitzwing, but yeah, they have that. Definitely get on that Octane, Hasbro. Here he is with another Legacy Voyager class. This is G-Axis right there, so you can see how that looks. Just because I have him out for some reason, here he is with the Studio Series Bumblebee movie Soundwave. And here he is with Megatron right there, the Siege Megatron. They look very good together. Of course, all the Decepticons look great together. Here he is with our other Legacy leader class so far, the Laser Optimus Prime. So there you have that. And one more, here he is with Cyclonus, so you can get that look as well, because so many people have this figure, so I'm sure it's a good one to show him with. So there you have your comparisons. Final thoughts on Legacy Blitzwing. This guy is so close to perfection, it's not even funny. Seriously, if they had melted down the plastic they used to make those whole cans and just put better engineering and and more tabs into this figure, this would have been on the same level as Kingdom Cyclonus, Studio Series 86 Grimlock, Earthrise Optimus Prime. This would have been the be-all, end-all best Blitzwing that could possibly be made. Unfortunately, they just made a few decisions that I really think were not healthy decisions, that I really do not agree with. I hate the nose cone on the tank. I hate it. When I transform into the tank, I just leave the head out. I cannot stand the freaking jet nose cone sticking out of the front of the tank. And you can't get rid of it because it ruins the jet mode. And I like the jet mode. The jet mode I actually like. I know people hate the jet mode. You're just gonna have to go watch their reviews because I like the jet mode. I genuinely think the jet mode is a huge plus in the figure's favor. And then the robot mode, aside from a few tabs that needed to be there, like they are really important that they needed to be there for a figure of this price, aside from that, he's pretty much perfect. It's an amazing Blitzwing figure. If you haven't picked it up already, I certainly give the figure my recommendation. You are going to have to get over those freaking Hulk hands though, and you're definitely going to have to try and figure something out about that jet. You're just going to have to like train yourself to not see the freaking schlong sticking out of the front of the tank mode. But overall, I really like this guy. I'll be honest, when I got him out of the packaging, I didn't love him immediately. It took me a couple times. There was even and I will say, I want to say this real quick because this pissed me off immensely when I got him out of the packaging. These leg pieces down here, the first time I transformed him back and forth, these things were tighter than fucking Fort Knox. I absolutely loathed transforming this figure because of how freaking tight these things locked in. Luckily they broke in and now they're perfectly fine, honestly. I didn't even point them out as a negative because after like the first two transformations, they're perfect. They're the perfect amount of tightness, so I can't really say a negative right there. But when I first got him out of the box, those infuriated me. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for this. I would love to give this figure an S tier. I really would. I can certainly see him landing on my top 10 of the year, but unfortunately, I really do think that Hasbro should have put more thought into this, not done those Hulk hands, put better engineering into the tank mode, just so you could at least get the option to get rid of the jet nose cone, because it's absolutely ridiculous. It's unforgivable. Like, it almost ruins the tank mode. The tank mode is amazing until you get to that, and then it completely ruins it. Like, it's kind of shameful, honestly. And then the freaking, like, I hate these panels that just swivel around and move all over the place. Just one little tab would have fixed that. And then this thing, I hate this. I hate the fact that there's no tab that locks this in place. Like, seriously, at a figure of this price point, they could not have just put one tab in there that just locked that in place. But there you have it. That's my final thoughts on Blitzwing. Like I said, I wanted to give him an S+, but we are going to have to hit him down to an A. Yeah, we're going to go with an A on him. I think his issues are big enough to where it does bring him down a couple bits. And a huge issue on the vehicle mode is definitely going to bring him down a little bit. So yeah, we're going to go with an A, not an A+, an A. But do keep in mind, I really love him. I really do love him. I can kind of ignore the schlong sticking out of the front of the tank. I don't really want to ignore it, but I can kind of ignore it if I really put my mind to it. And aside from that, I mean, the tabs, they're not the worst thing in the world. I wish they were there because I'm me, but I'm sure, like, clearly nobody else gives a shit about this because I'm the only fucking reviewer I've seen that actually pointed this out. Maybe someone else did and I haven't seen their video, but yeah, that's probably just a me thing. So you might not even give a shit about the tabs, which is like two of the three issues I have with this figure. So there you have it. We're going to go with an A on him. Overall, I love him. I really do love him. I really do love him. Aside from those issues, I think he's absolutely fantastic, and Blitzwing is such an amazing character. Everybody needs a Blitzwing, and I think they did it. I think, once again, Hasbro gave us a definitive G1 Blitzwing, because in 90% of the ways, this thing is phenomenal. But there you have it, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, maybe give it a like, subscribe for some more Transformer reviews in the future. The next one is a very, very exciting one because it happened. Ladies and gentlemen, I freaking found a Cosmos. I did not have to pay the scalper prices, and I'm going to spoil this right now before you go watch this review. Do not pay the scalper prices for this. He's not bad. I like him a lot. I really like him, but don't pay the scalper prices for this. This thing is not worth $70, $80, okay? Don't do it, but I will see you then. Thank you for watching this video, and this is DK Guillotine, signing out.